Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is Abdul Nasir Jangda on behalf of Qalam Institute, coming back to you with another session of the Qalam Hangout, the special Ramadan series. We have 30 days, 30 questions. The question we have today is about women. Can women go to the masjid for Taraweh prayers, and should women go to their Eid prayer? So I'm going to answer these two questions, or I'm going to answer, each issue separately. I'm going to turn this one question into two answers. The first answer is about women going to the masjid for Tarawih prayers. So I'd like to refer you back, so that this video doesn't get too long. Go back and watch the previous Qalam Hangout video that was called 8 or 20, and you'll find more details there about the Tarawih prayers, but it's an emphasized sunnah for men. For women, it is not as emphasized. Not only that, the Prophet of Allah ﷺ has also told us that women get more reward for praying at home. Now, let's not convolute that issue into something else. Let's understand the Prophet ﷺ is being very merciful and kind and accommodating and consoling women who might not be able to come to the masjid due to safety concerns or due to younger children. That the Prophet of Allah ﷺ is saying, don't worry, your ibadah, your worship is not in vain, but rather you get even more reward for praying at home because you showed persistence and consistency and steadfastness. However, having said that, it works on the other side as well, because the Prophet of Allah ﷺ has also told us, do not prohibit, do not prevent women from coming to the masjid. So therefore, it is permissible for women to come to the masjid for Tarawih prayers, and it will be an active reward for them. And if they're not able to come due to children, due to safety concerns, rest assured that our women folk, our sisters, will still get, just as much reward and even more reward for still, praying at home and having the dedication to pray at home. Now, having said that, what I'd like to address is go a little bit further, dig a little deeper, and understand that Ramadan is a time of spirituality. And with everything else that's going on around us, there's a great need for spirituality that every person has. Going and praying in a congregation of a couple of hundred people, hearing Huffaz of the Quran, who, mashallah, recite the Quran very well, very beautifully, reciting the Book of Allah properly in the Tarawih prayers. The scholar, the Imam, the Shaykh, giving a khatira, a reminder, a reflection in the middle of the Tarawih prayers. That is a very, very spiritually nourishing and charging environment. And our sisters need that just as much as our brothers. That's where I would strongly recommend to folks that are in charge of masajid and communities that accommodate our sisters. Do not restrict them from coming to the masjid, but accommodate them. I would also encourage family members, be supportive of women folk going to the masjid, and maybe go with them. If you have concerns for safety or whatever the case may be, go together as a family. It's very, very important. At the same time, real quickly want to advise my sisters that if going to the masjid does involve a certain amount of risk, maybe the masjid is not in a safe neighborhood, or it involves driving through a bad area, a bad neighborhood, please be very sensible, be cautious, and you don't want to put yourself in harm's way unnecessarily. All right? Another thing that I will go ahead and say here, which always, it can be misunderstood by some people. I'm going to refer you back to a video. I recorded a Quran weekly video recently called Family Friendly Ramadan. Please just go ahead and watch the video so I don't have to reiterate everything here. But one of the recommendations that I presented was, as long as there's safety and it's good and there's a good community and there's good accommodations for sisters at the masjid, I even recommend for younger families that the dad, the husband, maybe take the responsibility of watching the little kids at home every now and then, to allow the sister, the wife or the mother to be able to go to the masjid and experience the blessing of Ramadan without having to chase the little kids around during Tarawih prayer in the masjid and get yelled at and scolded by other people. One other recommendation I will also add, that let's try to have some empathy in our communities. It's really aggressive. It's actually quite scary on the sister side of it. We often talk about brothers being very, mean to sisters at the masjid. The experience of a lot of my family members, we're a young family. My sister, has a little kid as well. What our experience has been is that sometimes sisters are a lot more meaner to other sisters at the masjid. And that's very, very difficult for me to grasp. A lot of times older sisters who might not have little kids are being very rude and very mean to sisters that have younger kids. Look, I understand a little kid is making a noise, but that's what a little kid is supposed to do. They're supposed to make noise. And the older sister needs to go back and think about the time when her kids were young. And she needs to be more understanding and more empathetic towards our sister. And so just a little bit of advice about women going for Taraweh prayers. The second part of the question was about women going to their Eid prayer. That's very straightforward and simple. The Prophet of Allah ﷺ said everybody should go for Eid prayer. It is a time for the whole community to come together, show the numbers of Muslims, young and old, men and women, everybody go for Eid prayer. Take the senior citizens, take the little babies. So much so the Prophet ﷺ said even sisters who are not able to pray at that time, due to their menstrual cycle, they should still go and join the congregation of their Eid prayer. Just a side little note, let's try to maintain some modesty and some decency when we do go for Eid prayer, but nevertheless, everyone should go for Eid prayer. So inshallah, that's another session of the Qalam Hangout, 30 days, 30 questions. Inshallah, if you want your questions answered, do not hesitate to send in your questions. You can tweet them to Qalam Institute. You can leave them on the Facebook page. You can leave them in the comments of this video if you don't have social media, or you can even email the questions to us, questions@qalaminstitute.org. Just remember to tag your questions or put the subject line as Qalam Hangout. Until next time, this is Abdul Nasir Jangda on behalf of Qalam Institute. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum rahmatullah.